Hello. It's a rainy afternoon here in Northern California. Smoke drifts by the window where I started a fire a while back. Now that oak firewood is catching fire. My wife and I just came from an old and dear friend who passed away this afternoon. We were there when she passed, and that's like, I've been thinking a lot about stories and narratives and stuff like that, and what they mean and how the idea can be used and so forth. But it occurred to me that when somebody dies like that right in front of you, or when you die, or when I die, for us it will be even more personal at that point, that's like the fourth wall thing. Breaking the fourth wall, if you're not familiar with that idea, almost everybody is when somebody within the show turns to the camera and talks to you directly. Like the House of Cards does that. The original, much better. If you like the American version of House of Cards, or even if you don't, you might like the English version, which is, in my opinion, much better. But they use that function, but somehow they stay within. The character is so well developed that even when the character talks to you, you stay within. He brings you in instead of popping himself and the rest of the cast out. You're brought in. And so when somebody dies, they're laying in the bed and you've been reading Lord of the Rings to them. And they'll stop breathing and you'll think, and then they catch it again. Shallower and shallower. The trend is down, right? The trend is shorter and longer between. Kind of a jerk back. And then that was it. It was just quiet. So the eternal question is, what was there then that was not there now at the moment of her passing? What is that? I don't know. I think it's something, though. Anyway, that fourth wall, the story, the narrative. Where I was going with that is the idea that the ego, that part of our brain, it's either firmware, software, a combination of the two. It's duty. It's what it's built to do is construct a narrative. That's my opinion, at least. That's what it does, is it constructs a narrative, and we're the story. Our life is the story. Unless we wake up out of that, unless we breach the fourth wall, the conventional, dreamlike world that we live in. The story we tell ourselves about who we are, where we're going, what's going to happen, what happened, with whom it happened, and so forth and so on. And it doesn't matter. The story, the content of the story is immaterial. It comes to whether it's good, bad, indifferent. It's got to be a story, unless you come out of that, unless you break out of the dream, the story, which we spend most of our lives telling. So, a death in the room breaches that fourth wall. The convention, the conventional narratives that we have are breached by death. And there's the thing about the narrative is that our drive, it's not a drive so much as it's a need. We need to get back to the story. We're really, really uncomfortable when we're not in our story. Again, like a terrible story in which we're cast as the losers and we're in constant pain and suffering and so on. Even leaving that narrative is painful. It's more painful than the alternative. That's why we stay there sometimes. But the fact that we've got this story going on again doesn't. The content is not germane, except insofar it's not so much the content, but the design of the story. So everything is a story in a certain way. Like quantum physics is a story, but it's a series of stories that model very accurately onto the real world because it's predictive. It predicts. Microwave ovens wouldn't be possible without quantum physics. Something like that. It maps, and it's almost like the mark of an effective person. is how well their story maps onto what's actually happening. And the crazier you are, the further your narrative is from actually being isomorphic with reality. And isomorphic in some way, certainly not completely. So that pull, the pull. See, I mean, this was brought home to me the other day. I live up here in this mountain in Sierra Nevada Mountains in Northern California. And there's a trail, there's a ditch, we call it in New Mexico, it's a canal, I guess. Ditch isn't elegant, and it's a beautiful thing. This brings water from the high mountains, Lake Tahoe up there in the mountains, down the hill to where it's needed down here for agriculture and so forth. And it's a big, I think it's probably 10 feet wide, and it's not got much water in it right now, but it's got a pleasant trail that goes on for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm not sure, I haven't been to the end of it. And I like to walk there. It's flat, for one thing. And there's the sound of water constantly as you walk. It's a beautiful place. So sometimes I will try something. One time I stumbled upon it accidentally, but now I try to do it, which is like my vision diffuses, it softens. Instead of being focused on one thing, and that's actually the hallmark of, one of the hallmarks, physiological hallmarks, of being honed in on the narrative, on our story. If you let your vision widen open and stop telling the story, just be there. Nothing is more important in your field of vision than anything else in your field of vision. It's just all there. You're in the midst of it without any editorial comment, without any story. You're just there. Try that, if you will. Try that, and you'll see how quickly the hunger is the gravitational magnetic pull of the story to get back to the story. It's enchanting. I mean, I get so fascinated with my stories. What I'm going to do tomorrow. Some long-term project with this person and that person. Oh, it's going to be so wonderful. I tell myself, and I'll be on stage in New York pretty soon. You know, my show will be fantastic. You know, these narratives and how that's going to happen. You know, it's like it can be a very practical narrative about what I'm going to do and stuff like that. But it's a pull toward that storyline from what's just happening right now. And when it's death, it overwhelms, it bursts, it breaks down that wall like one of those glass walls in Hollywood movies. Those aren't glass, they're made out of sugar. But that wall, that window is broken by the death in the room. It's here, now. And William S. Burroughs' phrase, actually it was Jack Kerouac's phrase, he suggested the title, The Naked Lunch. The lunch is right there on the fork. As it is, that's it. It's just there. Right now. Blessings to our dear friend departed. This is what I mean when I say words fail me. Take care. Kindness is always possible.